Chapter 1 of the Friendly Terrace Quartette, or Peggy Raymond at the Poplars, by Harriet Lummis Smith. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Chapter 1 An End and a Beginning. For full 5 minutes neither Peggy nor Priscilla had spoken. They sat side by side in the street car, knitting for dear life, and each wore an expression of solemn intensity. Enough was happening, as far as that goes, to shadow the brightest face, but at this particular minute the two girls thought only of the khaki-colored sweaters, growing to completeness under their unpracticed fingers. It was Peggy's second sweater. The first had been a joke, and to fail in this as well would have been, in Peggy's estimation, nothing short of a tragedy. The car stopped at the crossing to admit a little group of college girls, each with a knitting bag on her arm. They made their way down the already crowded aisle till within a few feet of the absorbed pair. Peggy and Priscilla looked up to nod and smile, and Peggy's hurrying fingers slackened their pace as she listened. "They're talking about the history exam," she confided to Priscilla. "Everybody says Dr. Mackenzie gives terrific examinations, but do you know, I've hardly thought about it." "Neither have I," owned Priscilla. "I suppose I'll get through it all right. I'm pretty sure I shall. But somehow, Priscilla, I can't feel as if it would matter very much if I didn't." "Yes, I know." Priscilla let her work fall. "Such big things are happening that the little things like doing well in college or having a good time don't seem to matter." Both girls were silent for a moment. Like hundreds of thousands of others, they had changed their point of view completely within a short time. For many months they had been reading and talking about the great war raging across the sea. Strange foreign names had become familiar to their ears. They had shivered over the tales of atrocities, and had thrilled at the stories of valorous deeds unsurpassed in history. And yet all the time there had been a sense of unreality about it. Peggy had felt as she did when she wept over the death of Jean Valjean. But that was all past and gone. America's entry into the war made them feel as if they had waked up from a bad dream, only to find it a reality. Graham Wiley had volunteered at once, and then had come to Peggy to tell her what he'd done, a new grave manliness about him that made him seem many years older since the previous day. "Oh, Graham," Peggy had said with a little catch in her voice. "Does Ruth know?" "Not yet. I wanted you to know first of anybody, Peggy." Poor Ruth! Peggy's eyes filled with tears. She was so sorry for Graham's adoring sister, and then with a tremendous effort she swallowed those tears and faced him with a rather quivery smile. Didn't the boys have enough to bear, she asked herself indignantly, without having girls crying and making a fuss? Only it would be terrible for poor little Ruth. Peggy had always supposed that ending her freshman year in college would be a memorable occasion. 1 year finished, and sophomore dignities within reach. But for months she had gone through her duties almost mechanically, and now that commencement was at hand, the anticipated season had shrunk to insignificant proportions. The nation was girding up its loins, making ready for war, and the little ambitions and triumphs of everyday life were all dwarfed by the vastness of the moment. Peggy and Priscilla left the car as the college girls were streaming from the dormitories in the direction of the chapel. The Friendly Terrace girls joined in the procession, but before they reached the chapel door, someone caught Peggy by the arm. "Are you going to volunteer, Peggy Raymond? You're just the one to do it." Volunteer for what? Peggy had wished herself years older and a trained nurse, countless times in the last few months. "There's nothing I can do that amounts to anything," she said with unwonted self-deprecation. "Why, for the land army. Somebody is going to talk about it at chapel this morning. Don't you see how it is, Peggy? All the young men are called to the colors, and it's up to us girls to get the work and keep the world from starving to death." Peggy was all interest. Priscilla on the other side listened intently, occasionally asking a question, few of which the junior, who had intercepted them, was able to answer. But what she lacked in information she made up in enthusiasm. A passion for service was sweeping the country like a prairie fire, and these girls asked only a chance to serve somewhere. The harder the work and the more sacrifice involved, the better. Had the speaker of the morning presented her cause far less convincingly, she would still have met with a hearty response, for many of her audience had been waiting for just such an opportunity. Since Peggy and Priscilla had entered college, the quartet of chums on Friendly Terrace had generally met some time during the afternoon. Their long years of intimacy
Sample complete. Ready to continue?